and I welcome you all to the virtual Zoom room for participating in the 40th virtual lecture of the lecture series on the theme of Roma community in Norway. Today, our speaker is Miss Solomia Karoli from Norway, and she is eminent writer, author, and activist belonging to the prominent Roma family of Norway. Her father was a well-known leader of Norwegian Roma community. Solomia has been fighting for Roma rights for the last 4.5 decades, and Solomia is the first Norwegian Romani to complete upper secondary school. She wrote 2 books. The one is her autobiographical work with the title Gypsy King's Daughter. This book deals with her childhood and growing up in a Roma camp with her parents, as well as the Norwegian Roma community who were facing the hard time after Second World War. So the first book is about her life, her education, her turbulent phases of her life. She was abducted. She was how she was saved by the teacher, and how she came to Norway. So she has written that picture was very poignant and gloomy. So, and her second book is Norwegian Roma Children, Ethnic Cleansing and a Child Abduction. The book depicts the gruesome picture of Romani children who were either abducted or killed in Norway, and it reports the loss of 71 Romani children within 8 years. It also deals with the isolation, segregation, and exclusion of Roma from mainstream Norwegian society since the Second World War. Now, the very interesting, the third book, that is her dream book, which is going to be published soon, I think, sometime this year. And that book deals with the India-Roma connection, the Roma children of India. So that is in publication, so I cannot talk about, and I don't know even because I have to read that book. That is going to be very interesting and eye-opening. So, but now the subjects of today's lecture aims at getting around to the past and contemporary social, cultural, economic situations and challenges faced by the Norwegian Roma community. It has been widely accepted that the arrival of Roma in Scandinavia in 1512 and their emergence in Norway around in 1540. So that date has also been substantiated by the scholar like Georgi Sorel and Jean-Pierre Liajoux. However, Roma have traveled back and forth between Norway and Eastern Europe due to different exclusion and unacceptable assimilation regulations and draconian laws, which forced and compelled them to move from one place to another place, from one country to another country. In 1860, Norway implemented a law that enabled free movement of people without documents. Therefore, there were no normal hindrances for travelers to come to the Norway. In that period, a large influx of Roma came to Norway. Hence, Roma established in Norway, but they kept contact with their relatives residing in different countries of Europe, embracing nomadic lifestyle and avoiding assimilation practices. Norway has a long history of anti-Gypsyism. Roma were extradited because of the absence of the legal documents in 1922. As a stateless individuals, Roma were unable to secure legal stays in other countries because of because of absence of legal documents. They kept getting deported from one country to another country, from one place to another place. So they were completely stateless in a very deplorable plight. During the Second World War, means another horrible and gory situation encountered by the Roma community in Norway. Because Norwegian authorities under the control of Nazi regime sent most of the Roma to the Auschwitz concentration camp in Nazi occupied Poland. The survivors after the war tried to re-enter Norway, but their entrance was declined and denied. But after 10 years of the struggle of the end of the war, the first Norwegian Roma family was allowed to return to Norway. And after 1960s, the increasing visibility of Roma in the streets of Oslo has been a spark to a lot of public debates, often projecting Roma as a problem and challenge to the welfare state. They were simply considered problem. Nonetheless, Roma were granted the status of national minority in Norway in 1999 as a compensation of years of abuses and exploitations and persecutions of the community. Despite all odds, these are the situations, these are the very common situations faced by the community across Europe. But despite all odds, the Roma are tightly knit groups speaking Romani language, along with the Norwegian language. They pursue a way of life on the social, political, economic margins of the society. So they face still the education for the community is at abysmal rate. There's some Roma community in Norway, obviously they improved their socio-economic status and they become rich, but most of them are at margins. Now I would like to stop here because we are immensely interested in listening to our speaker, who is expert at, and she is in a better position to give the first-hand information about the situations, past situations, and contemporary situations of the community, and what are the challenges, what are the problems and issues faced by the community in Norway. So, by this word, I would like to end here, and now I would like to uh, request the chairperson of this lecture, Professor Dr. Prasanansuji, and he is the professor of English, National Law University, and um, he is a linguist, if I say, and he has been working for the Roma community for the last many years. And now the floor is up to you, Professor Prasanansuji.
Ask him to unmute.
Yes, you can speak now. Prasanansuji, you take forward this lecture. You proceed this lecture. We are not able to hear you.
No, he has to unmute his mic.
You have to unmute your mic. Prasanansuji.
Bottom left side, there is a mic. You have to unmute, sir.
Oh, I hope it is audible now. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Is there two?
Your voice is echoing.
Yeah,
No, because he has opened the mobile and as well as the.
yeah. There is a big problem with the system. So I will request the speaker to continue. I will fix it in the meanwhile.
Okay, all right, thank you. So now I would like to request the Solomia Karoli to deliver her lecture. Now, the Solomia, the floor is yours. Unmute yourself, please. Hi.
आज आने की
थैंक यू वेरी मच। खाना बने? हाँ हाँ, पता चला मुझे। Congratulations.
अरे बहुत बहुत मैंने कहा आपको इसीलिए मैंने कहा कि इसमें बोल लो ना यार।
हाँ।
Hello, can you hear me, Sana? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Now you can close another, the means another login. I think you have also logged in on the two system. The first you shut down, or the first you shut down the one, and then after you can continue with the.
Okay, you hear me now?
Because it will also the echo. It will create echo.
I know. Just. You can hear me now?
Please turn
I'm telling you that please close the first system where you logged in on.
Can
And
you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Namaskar. Hello. Tiavel Bartalet Humenge. My name is Solomia Karoli. I'm from Norway and belongs to India's lost and forgotten children, the European Roma. I'm a writer and an activist. I have written 2 books and working currently on the 3rd book, which will be published in 2026 and translated into Swedish, German, English, Swedish, German, English, and Romani. It's a great honor and great privilege to be able to attend the Zoom meeting with so many honorable and knowledge people. One thing most of us have in common is to use words as a tool to bring our thoughts and experience out to the world. But words are powerless if they do not express the joy, pains, dreams, and hope we have in our hearts. Then words become a weapon for human values, for a better and more just world, where universal human rights are respected. Many of our ancestors left India approximately 1,000 years ago as a result of wars and slavery. We, the European Roma, have brought with us Indian thinking, philosophy, and experience. We have never started a war, but kings and emperors have engaged our ancestors to join the wars because of the knowledge of weapons production and the art of warfare. We, the European Roma, are Europe's largest and most persecuted national minority, counting approximately 12 millions plus a few millions in other continents. Our biggest tragedy came during the Second World War, when millions of our people were killed in their homes and were exterminated in concentration camps by German Nazi and their collaborators in many continents. It is said that there may be up to 3.5 million Roma who were exterminated in the Roma Holocaust, which we Roma call Puirai Mos. My family was hit directly. We were a large family before the Second World War. Out of 66 Norwegian Roma, only 4 survived the Holocaust camp in Poland, Auschwitz-Birkenau. Among those 4 who survived was my father and 2 of his brothers. In 1924, the police and the Norwegian government made a mapping and a register over the whole Norwegian Roma community. Although my father was born in Norway, he was deprived of his passport and made stateless in 1930. He had to fight hard to regain his Norwegian citizenship in 1956. He became the leader of the Norwegian Roma group and was called the Gypsy King by the Norwegian media. In 2024, we, the Norwegian Roma, are once again a victim of being registered and mapped on an ethnic basis. With the excuse that the entire Roma community is criminals, including small innocent children, the youth, and the whole Roma community, which count about 700 members. During the Second World War, the Norwegian authorities used the same argument and excuse in 1924 to justify the genocide of our family members. Again, we Roma are at risk to be subject to another genocide in the future, as we witness the Western countries gearing and arming themselves military for a new global war. It goes without saying that many of the Roma who survived the Second World War suffered life-threatening injuries, both physically and mentally. They had to live with trauma for the rest of their lives, and it would have fatal consequences for many Roma children. That was also my case. I grew up in an orphanage and in foster homes, not learning my native language, nor the codes of the Roma people, and became a stranger to my own family. My story is not unique, but the Norwegian press called me Norway's most abused child in 1968. The abuse was carried out by my parents, brothers, and sisters. And since then, I have been mentioned countless times in the Norwegian press. I tried to escape from reality, both psychologically and through intoxication, but realized that reality always caught up with me, and that was not the way to go. Instead, I wanted to tell about our common tragedy, and I started to write and became the first Roma author in Norway. All of this was the subject of my first book, which was published in 2009 and was titled The Gypsy King's Daughter. Although it was an autobiography, it also gave a picture of what desperate situation the Norwegian Roma were brought into and what tragedy the concentration camps, the war, and the abuse had inflicted on us. It was a book full of pain, my own and the rest of the Norwegian Roma community. Many Roma then contacted me because that was also their pain. In my second book, I went on to describe what was happening to our Roma children who grew up in Norway today. I let the mothers come forth and tell their story and how it affected their children. Based on officially documents and my own investigations, I found that about half of our children were taken from their parents and were denied normal contact with their family. I went through international legislation on children's rights and documented that their rights were not respected by the Norwegian authorities. I explained from my own experience how paralyzing and painful it is to lose one's native language and culture and to become a stranger, both for the family and for the large community, who regards the Roma as strangers and intruders. The book also showed how illiteracy made the Roma people vulnerable to highly educated yet incomplete and incompetent Norwegian bureaucracy. The second book was entitled Norwegian Gypsy Children, Ethnic Cleansing and Child Abduction, and was published in 2014. The first sentence reads, "This book is a report from reality, a cry of pain and accusation." The book ends with the chapter, "The road ahead is to raise the pillars for an action plan to bring my people, the Norwegian Roma, out of their tragedy." The second book also raises great attention. It was a documented accusation that the bureaucrats were not able to respond to. I personally handed the book over to the former Norwegian Prime Minister, who later expressed in 2015 an officially apology for the Norwegian authorities' treatment of my people. This book also reaches the world beyond the small country of Norway. The Consul of Europe, former Commissioner of Human Rights, Mr. Nils Muenichs, addresses sharp criticism of the Norwegian government for its treatment of the Roma children, based on information from my book. Mr. Nils Muenich's report can be found on Google. Report by Nils Muenich, Commissioner for Human Rights of Europe, following his visit to Norway from 19 to 23 January 2015. Please read page 16 and 17. Even Pope Francis of the Vatican sent me a greeting as a recognition of my struggle for my people. I am not writing to get rich or famous. I write to get through a politic change for the future generation of the Roma, and in this manner give my small contribution to a better world and justice for the Roma of Europe, who continues to lose their children in 2025. From 2005 to 2025, we, the Norwegian Roma, lost totally 86 children. Europe's policy since 14th century has been to separate Roma children from their families, which continue with full force in 2025 in the name of European so-called values. Sometimes we win. In September 2018, Norway was sentenced by the International Court of Justice in Hague for assault against a Norwegian Roma family who have been wrongfully deprived of their children. The Court of Justice had heard us. It is not just in Norway that the Roma people are being persecuted and discriminated. All across Europe, millions of Roma are living in extreme poverty, and the situation is getting worse day by day. Also in Hungary, the Roma families are deprived of their children by force. Something the British television BBC channel has documented. Fascist gangs in Ukraine and Slovakia tear down and burn Roma village and other Roma settlement with the police as passive witness. In the Czech Republic and many other countries, Roma women have been sterilized by force as part of a genocide. France and Germany expel thousands of my people and force them to leave their countries. And in countries such as Sweden, Norway, and Italy, there are records kept of the Roma that can be used if a new Porajmos or Holocaust should occur. In some countries, Roma is denied access to clean water. There is now a fear felt by my people, and a fear that is deep in me too. I know what was done to my father, and I am afraid the same thing could happen to today's Roma. In our narrative tradition, the dream of Bharatan and the great country of Bharat, India, are still alive. Our international flag with the green earth and the blue sky has a red wheel, which the former Indian diplomat, Mr. Ritchie, privately arranged by adding the red wheel in our international flag at the London Roma Congress in 1971. It is a reminder that we once came from India, which also has a wheel in its flag. Today, more than ever, the European Roma need India's cooperation and support. Therefore, I appeal to the Indian authorities. Please open your hearts and borders for us, the European Roma. We Roma of Europe need you. We feel we are in danger. In November 2018, I was invited by Mr. 𝒊𝒔𝒄𝒍𝒂𝒊𝒎𝒄 from Punjab, who is no more, to Indore, Bharat, India, to attend the former annual International Kafla Festival for writers and poets, where I present my 2 books and met also Mr. Jadhadan Singh Patania Ji from Jammu, a great Roma scholar who wrote the book Sanji Romani Jib, Common Romani Language, published in 2016. The 3rd November 2018, a new chapter in the history of the Roma was opened in India. I had for the first time an opportunity to visit my ancestors' village in India called Karoli. This village is geographically located in the Gurdapur district near Pathankot Punjab. I am working on my third and last book. Without revealing too much, I can say that it is a tribute to India, to our common mother. And at the same time, it is a book against all fake myths that particularly surround my people. I will continue my quest for the truth. We who have words as our tool and our weapon have a great and special responsibility. It is a burden, but also a great privilege. We must use it with wisdom and skill. And at the same time, we must build friendship and cooperate across boundaries. Finally, I would like to sincere thanks Mr. Samer Anwar Ji, who invited me to attend this important Zoom meeting today. Our communication represents to me a brilliant example of cooperation and mutual respect between Europe's Roma and the vast country India. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Miss Solomia Karoli ji. And I think, am I audible now, Mr. Zamir?
Yes, yes, you are
Okay.
audible.
Okay. I also acknowledge Mr. Zamir, Shyam Parande ji, Roma Naik ji, Orhan ji, who are present in the meeting today. And certainly this is something of a wonderful opportunity to know about, to renew our links with our Roma brethren. As Mr. Zamir has already mentioned, I have personally been involved and I have witnessed many of the tribulations that the Roma community is facing. So Ms. Solomia Karoli's address was very illuminating and thought-provoking. And I would say that your presentation has given us the comprehensive and nuanced understanding of the experiences of the Roma community in Norway, the challenges they continue to face, the strides they have made, and the ways in which cultural identity and resilience persists despite historical adversities. You have helped us see beyond the often one-dimensional narratives that surround Roma communities and drawn our attention to the dynamic process of integration, assertion of rights, and the importance of cultural preservation. Your insights into the contemporary policy frameworks, grassroots activism, and the everyday lived narratives of Roma people in Norway have greatly enriched our collective understanding. This session has truly furthered the mission of the Center for Roma Studies and Cultural Relations to bring forth country-specific perspectives and to highlight not just the hardships, but also the positive transformations occurring within the Roma world. I am sure that your talk has sparked many thoughts and questions among our participants. We will just wait for a few more minutes. If anyone has questions, please raise your hand, and that electronic hand is there so that we can take a few questions. I am really impressed by the number of books that she has authored, and the mention of the historical atrocities against Roma, like abduction of the Roma children, is shocking. Although we are aware of these things, but still it never fails to shock us. Forced sterilizations, disappearances, expulsions. This is a very gory history, and this is in a place where democracy and freedom is supposed to be practiced. I am impressed that how the Prime Minister of Norway issued a formal apology. I think that is certainly a welcome step, a first step, and how human rights groups have taken note of your work and have acted upon them in whatever small way they could. And her personal testimony, he has witnessed firsthand the discrimination. I have also witnessed it when I was in Europe. I have seen the situation of education, social segregation, and it was very painful and unknown to us that this is happening there. Her heartfelt appeal to Mother India to acknowledge the Roma as children of the ancient homeland struck an emotional chord with all of us. Her words echo the feelings and wishes residing deep into our own hearts, calling for stronger bonds of cultural and emotional reconnection between India and the global Roma diaspora. With this, I invite the question. So, are there any questions? Yes. Mr. Bharat Chaudhary ji, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. A very good evening to everyone. Ma'am, it's so nice to hear you, and obviously it's painful to find out all these things. I wanted to ask, ma'am, that as you mentioned that Norwegian authorities separated children, so is it under some kind of initiative, some kind of policy that they have created for Roma community, or and what is the explanation about it? And at present, what is happening against it? Thank you.
Madam, you are muted. Please unmute.
Was I audible? I'm not sure whether.
You were audible. Solomia Karoli ji is not audible because her mic is muted. I request her to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes, you are audible. Yes.
Unfortunately, it's echo here, you know, because the system is not working
Yeah,
properly.
now it is okay. The echo is gone.
Can you repeat your question one more time, please?
Mr. Chaudhary, can you please repeat the question?
Yes, sir. So, hello, ma'am. My question was that, as you mentioned, that Norwegian authorities started this program of separating these children from the parents, the Roma children. So, was it under some program, some policy that they initiated? What was the whole, at least on the face value, like what was their explanation? And also, right now, what is happening against it? Like the progress that Roma community has made in specifically with this case. Thank you.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. The Norwegian government had this policy for the last 500 years. And it's continuing with full force. Why? Because Norway have no tolerance when it comes to another lifestyle. And their policy is to take our native language, breaking up the Roma community, and get the children integrated into Norwegian society. But even if our children, including myself, growing up with the Norwegian values, we still face racism and partially excluded out from the Norwegian society. Which means no taking part in the working work, and the Roma also facing house problems. We are also a victim of project for the last 55 years, which only gaining the bureaucracy. It was first in 2003 that our children had access to normal schooling. So today we have a generation who how to say who are finished with obligatory school 10 years. But the problem is that very few continues with higher education. And those who try to get a job in the large community, they are not accepted. So the Roma issue is a Roma industry in the billions, and it's only gaining the bureaucracy and the scientists, and so the only way of get acceptance in the Norwegian society is growing up on the protection of the child welfare service. But still it is a racism, despite that you have school, you are integrated, you are educated. When it comes to the bottom line, it's a question about skin color. So I don't see any solution of the Norwegian Roma and also the European Roma's problems. I want to go a little bit out of the Norwegian Roma community over to the EU Parliament, where last year there was a new elected EU Parliament. We have high educated Roma out in Europe, lawyers, journalists, etc. But the EU Parliament were not willing to take one Roma mandate into the EU Parliament. Instead, one guy, a politician from Slovakia, who was given hate speech against Roma, called them animals, got elected in the EU Parliament. So we have no no mandate in the EU Parliament today. The situation is very difficult for the European Roma. Yes, that's what I have. That's all I have to say for this part.
Thank you for your answer. Is there any other question? And while
Yeah.
the question comes, I have an observation that it is a very, very shocking account of things that we hear every time, and it never fails to shock us. And hopefully the world moves from racism and narrow-mindedness to the Indian concept of 𝑫𝒊𝒔𝒄𝒍𝒂𝒊𝒎𝒆𝒓 Kutumbakam. We have always believed in that the world is a family, and of course the Roma are a family for India and India is a family for them. But I hope the whole of the world also embraces all communities and moves away from discrimination based on color and origins. It appears that there is no other question. So thank you very much. And over to
I have one question, if you like. Allow.
Yeah, please, why not?
The first, Solomia, you you closed the first one system because you are speaking on another system. It is creating echoes. So when you reply to my question, so you will first close down the system, one system. So my observation and question is to you that now in Norway there are such stereotyped narratives moving around the Roma community. The narratives like Romani mafia, they are indulging in extortion, violence. That's another very interesting. I think it's a new um, linguistic strategy, deliberately and systematically instituted by the government or by the authorities or head of the states. So Romani mafia indulging in extortion and persecution and violence, Now another narrative is very interesting. That's the wealthy beggars. And the people are angry with the wealthy beggars. The Roma are the wealthy beggars. They are very rich. They are at the, they are at the upper scale of the society. But when we look at the real socio-economic situation of the country, situation of the Roma community in Norway, we find that it is a very critical and terrible. You are in a better position to tell us that education of the Romani children, I think the very few Romani children reach the upper secondary school or higher school. Not to talk about the professional or the graduation and the post-graduation and the PhD, but the very few and a handful of Roma children, they reach up to the higher school or upper secondary school. So that shows the blight, that shows the plight of the community. So if you look at the socio-economic index, we find that they are at the lowest strata of the society. They are the 5 minorities recognized by the Norwegian government, and Roma is at lowest strata of the society. So how you differentiate? Even there is because Norway, it has a very very notorious reputation for the protection and observance of the human rights and fundamental rights of their minorities since since time immemorial. So now how in the 21st century the Norwegian government or the Norwegian authorities are standing on the justice and anti-racism of the minorities and the rights of the minorities. So how you can see, how you look at these two different narratives, which are contradictory to each other. One say wealthy beggars, Romani mafia. Second, they are at the lowest strata of the society. They are deprived of the basic educations. They are deprived of the basic facilities where they are residing. Most of them are living in Oslo, right? So Oslo is the capital city of Norway, but they are at the fringe. They are at the outskirts of the city, and there is no basic amenities and facilities for the community. So how you can fare it? How you can what is your take on this? Thank you. Kindly unmute, please. Unmute your system. Unmute your mic. You unmute your mic, please. Solomia, unmute your mic.
Okay, you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, when it comes to the
No.
So-
So first you close down. First you close that system.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to the so-called Romani mafia, that has a long history in Europe. And those beggars you see all over Europe sitting begging for money, if you follow this money, it's going straight up high in the system to those who sitting in white shirts and ties. But they're making a story that it is Romani mafia behind this. I don't buy that one, summary. I don't buy that for 1 minute. If our government would have stopped these beggars from Romania, because most of them are from Romania, they could have stopped that easily. But the Roma of Romania being used as hate objects. So when you are going around in the city, even, you know what? You wouldn't believe they are putting the Roma outside food stores and other places. You wouldn't even believe when you see that. How can a person from Romania, find all these difficult places without knowing the country and sitting in the most incredible places and beg? But it is a policy being used so for creating hatred against the Roma people as a whole. And we, the Norwegian Roma, do not have this problem with the begging. We are not beggars, but we are get dragged into this hatred. And the average person in the street are not aware of, they are aware about this. Here we are talking about trafficking and human what trafficking, human how you say that in English? Menneskehandel. Trafficking of human beings. Yeah, Europe has been into this since the early 13th century. They bought up the slaves from Turkey, the Turkey people. So they as far as I see it, Europe have no intention of stopping with this kind of business, you know, when it comes to human trade and trafficking. But it is easy to blame it, to put the blame on criminal gangs. But if the governments all over Europe are into it, and it's a very dangerous thing happening, because it's an underground mafia operating here. And as I told you before, Mr. Summer, is that we have been here since the middle of the 13th century, and those problems are still continuing. As I'm telling you, the triad and the knits, they are involved in this. All countries are involved in this human trafficking and from China. I don't want to talk too much, but you know what I have told you before. The trade road is not being used only by weapons and drugs. It is also human trafficking going on. So these problems are in Europe. It's filling up and it's filling up and it's filling up. I am asking myself, how come that Europe haven't been able for the last 800-900 years to solve these problems? They are taking our children, separating families. And still in 2025, we are there. The problem is there. So the only explanation, not only explanation, we have a lawyer. His name is Jonathan G. Yes, who are a writer in the magazine Travelers. He himself, he said that wrote in 2019 that the triad and the knits underground mafia is involved, more dangerous than the Italian, the Russian, and the Mexico mafia. And if a lawyer is trying to bring some of these cases up to court, they will take him. It's happened only a few years ago in the Netherlands. So, what to do? I think it is important here not only to blame the cartel, or what you want to call it, underground cartel here, but the whole Europe, the political institution of Europe also are to blame here.
Thank you for the response, Mr. Zamir.
All right, thank you very much, Solomia. That I wanted to know. So, is there any kind of any kind of movement from the Romani organization and institutions to resolve or to overcome problems such as serious and heinous problems like human trafficking and negative projection of the community, portraying the community in a bad light, that in order to hide their own efficiencies, their own means anti-Gypsyism or anti-ethnic or anti-racial attitude towards the minorities in Norway. So, is any kind of effort or any kind of movement uh, uh, to control or to pressurize the government or to compel the authority to come up with a solution? Because there you find that there is a lot of international European legal instrument. I know that is in book, or that is only in convention. That is means the paper tiger, but in line with that conventions and covenant, of the European Council as well as United Nations. So, is there any kind of fight initiative by the Romani community, Romani institutions?
Wait. First of all, if you try to mention human trafficking, you are at risk to lose your life because it's a lot of money involved there. When it comes to the political institution of Europe, my experience is that if you have some problems like with the Norwegian, where I was complaining to the Human Rights Commissioner in the 2015, they will, how to say, react and give a kind of reaction and criticism to the Norwegian government. But Europe, the Council of Europe are not taking action and dragging the problems in for the international court. And this, in one way, they are smiling you in the face and then stopping you from behind. You understand? When it comes to organization, I have an organization, and as I mentioned before today, last year in 2024, we were again mapped and registered on an ethnic basis. And we are the whole Roma community, including myself, we've been criminalized by the police. Norway have been ratifying Europe's framework in 1999 when it comes to protection of national minorities, human rights, and UN's Race Discrimination Convention. So what is happening? I have already, last year, when the big newspaper in Norway was revealing the register police have been done, I was sending a letter to the UN secretary and to the Council of Europe secretary complaining about what police have done, because it's illegal to register it and mapping people on an ethnic basis. But what are these institutions doing? Nothing. They don't even care to answer. So what I did was this year on the International Roma Day, I have an organization called Roma Human Rights. I am the leader of this organization. So I was mobilizing for a demonstration with paroles, banners written that we are demanding an action plan against anti-Ziganism. And we also demanding that the police record should be removed. So we have a problem here in Norway when it comes to the Romani, Tatar. We have different national minorities. We have the Jews, we have the Romani, Tatars, and you have the Roma. And why are they dividing us? Yes, because the Romani Tatars, what they're calling themselves, they came to Norway 500 years ago, mostly from Sweden. And so because of this long term of staying in Norway, they have divided us. So like my family, the Karoli clan, they came first to Norway in 1860s. You know? And by taking our children and assimilating them, they are also being thrown into this other group, Romani Tatars. You understand? Therefore, which is counting between 10,000 and 30,000 people. Therefore, our group is small, only 700 people today. So, Mr. Summer, we can stand there and we will do it, every 8th April. It was the first demonstration now, this year. And I will take the initiative next year again for a demonstration. And now also this year, we got the Romani Tatars with us, because they are also demanding an action plan against anti-Ziganism. But I know already it's a waste. It's a waste. I want to tell you one thing what happened only yesterday. I was posting it out on my Facebook post yesterday, but you wouldn't understand it. It is the Christian political party. They are telling now that the Sami people and another group, which called Kvener, those flags, they can be raised in the schoolyard. But our international flag is not even mentioned. Neither the Jews. So it is a continuing exclusion all the way, you know? And the Jews, just like the Jews, we are facing discrimination. Our children meet the discrimination in school and everywhere. And since the war started in the Middle East, you know, the situation have it getting worse also for the Jews. You know, we stand in solidarity with the Jews here. And for the last 2,000 years, the Jews have been persecuted and killed. The same for the Roma people. The last 1,000 years, we are facing persecution and genocides. So the Second World War, Second World War was not the first genocide, you know? It has gone on since our ancestors put their feet on the European soil. I want to come and live in Bharat. I give up Europe, believe me. Yes, that's all I have to say.
Thank you
There's
very
no
much.
solution. It's not that there's not any solution on this problem.
Thank you, Solomia, for your very insightful and poignant reply to this. And now I request Prasananchaji.
Thank you very much. I hope we have all taken something. We will take back something from this discourse today. And with this, I think we can close the meeting. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Orhanji. Thank you, Solomia. Thank you, Chipian. Ramanaik ji, Naziri ji.
You're welcome. I am in Romani contest of Romani language, and I'm here with all the children from all the cities of Romanian country, because it is the Roma competition for the language of Romani people. So thank you for everything. I apologize because I didn't enter in this interview, in this meeting very much, because I am here. But I am very greeting for all are you doing and what all the Indian people are doing for the for us, the lost brothers.
Thank you, Chikian. Thank you, Diana, and thank you, Ramanayak ji. Thank you, Orhan ji. Bye. See you in the next lecture, and we need your support and cooperation by